Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday morning for time for another edition of Outside the Pulpit with Coach. On this morning, we'll talk a little bit about the events leading up to Jesus's crucifixion. We know that on Sunday, he came in. Monday, he whipped them out of the temple. Tuesday, he taught in the temple, and he had a showdown with the Pharisees and the scribes. And before I go any further, I said in an earlier episode that we don't always know the chronological, the days that things happened, and the day that it happened on is not as important as what happened. And they can't really pinpoint what day the Last Supper took place, but they knew the order of events. And it's more important to know the order of events than to know the actual time frame, the actual days, because the Jewish calendar, they kept time different than we do. And as the time moved on and the Romans and other societies began to make things more structured, they took things and put it in a time frame, in a chronological order that suited them. And I said that to say this, that if you look at the scope of things and how many hours are in a day, sometimes it don't line up. It don't add up to what what's been historically laid out before us. But what we do know is that Jesus came in on one day, could have been Sunday, could have been Saturday, really don't know. But they call it, Palm Sunday, to make things line up to be a little bit more convenient. So what we're going to do, we're just going to continue to walk this thing on out in the order of the events that they happened. And if we talked a little bit about yesterday, Jesus had been with his disciples yesterday, and he laid out some final plans for them, giving them the final instructions before things got really chaotic and out of control. And from the best that I can gather, that the Last Supper occurred on a Wednesday night. And so we're going to go into that they began to make the preparations today. They went and found the house, just like they did with the colt. Jesus sent them to a man and said, me and my disciples have need for this house, and this is where we will prepare and have the Passover. And you know that when they had they had the Passover, they had the Lord's Supper, the Last Supper, and the communion, as we call it today. Immediately after that, Judas slipped out and went and told them where they were going to be. He set up Jesus to be captured and for the next events to take forward and begin to fall into place. And I ask you today to take a day and from what you've already read and begin to reflect on the magnitude of what had taken place up to this point and what was about to take place after that. Now, every year during this time, it's just a thing that I do. I get more into this word, and I really like the book of Matthew. That's just a personal preference. It's referenced in all the Gospels, but I really like Matthew for myself. And something else that I do, the movie The Passion of the Christ, I watch that. It's kind of graphic at times, but it brings into clarity of what had happened. And, a lot of you know me as Coach Thomas, the PE teacher, but very few know that I have a degree in history, and I'm big on history. I love to go back and research timelines and events and how one thing correlates and affects the other. And I really love to do this with biblical history. You know, some of you know that I did go back to school during the pandemic, and I got a master's, and then I got my PhD in Christian education. So, you know, a lot of times you hear somebody, oh, doctor this, doctor that. Well, I actually am a doctor, but I just don't tell anybody. Title is just nothing more than just extra letters at the end of your name. But me, I'll always be who I am. Titles and positions don't make me, they don't break me. I just want to make sure that at the end of this race, at the end of this course, that I do get to hear, you've finished the race, you've completed the course, well done, my good and faithful servant. And with all that being said, y'all enjoy this day, have a good day, and I look to see y'all in the morning.